Hello, number ones. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we're asking a question that we have already asked on this channel a few times, but I'm not the one asking today. Introducing Björn Andreas Bull Hansen, and he's asking the question, were the Vikings black? So, apart from the fact that this guy looks awesome, but let's have a look at his channel. Viking warrior woman, this is a lie, this needs to stop. The mystery of the female Viking warrior grave. Oh, I think I know. I think I know which grave he's talking about. Can you really be a Viking today? So it looks like a reenactor, of course. Did the Vikings really reach Ontario? New study revealed the disturbing truth about Viking Age Norway. Yeah, very interesting. It looks like a channel that, at least in the last, few months, has started to focus almost entirely into, Nordic history and Vikings and Norse, and I think that's fantastic. I really think you should continue, also because you look the part. In fact, I think the guy is from, let me see. Yeah, he's from Norway. Man, I know another Norwegian that recently I had a clash with, so I'm glad to see a nice one after that. Instead, this is a good one. You see, there are bad Norwegians, there are good Norwegians. Please hang out and subscribe to the good Norwegians. Wow, look at those axes. Love the bearded one. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Let's see what he has to say about Black Vikings. Let's go. Let me tell you this, though. If Black Vikings was the name of a metal band, I would have no problems with it whatsoever.
Have you heard about the Black Vikings?
Tell me about it.
The African Vikings.
Right.
And did you know that on board the longships you would see black men, predominantly black men, men from Africa.
Wait. The whites. We was Viking. Oh, I see. So they are reusing the same meme when in fact it is incorrect. Says who? You hit it. You hit it. I see. I see why you would do that, man. So that people don't go and attack whoever it is. It's an honorable thing, but I think this person is an absolute idiot. The real Vikings were black. Be woke. Be woke. Stop claiming history that isn't yours. I don't know if it's a troll at this point, because if someone seriously thinks that, oh, come on, it's got to be a troll.
They were the real Vikings.
Yeah.
This is not true,
Thank you.
obviously, but it is one of the lies that is consistently being spread on social media.
Preach it, brother.
And now with AI, which I hate, you see these images and people share them and so on, and they are trying to spread this lie that the Vikings were predominantly black.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone is saying the predominantly. I think the people that are trying to spread this nonsense, which still is nonsense, is that the original Vikings, the real Vikings or Norse, whatever, were black, and then I don't know what the heck happened at that point where they all teleported to friggin' Mars. Either that, which is what they tried to do with the Japanese, what they tried to do with the Egyptians, what they tried to do with a lot of cultures like this. It's either that, or they say that the Norse were so multicultural that you would have run into a black Viking, an Asian Viking, a friggin' Native American Viking at this point, and so that it is wrong to claim the Norse as a white civilization. Now, what's funny about this, before we continue, is that, of course, it's a methodological flawed approach, because it shows that it isn't based on the idea of, okay, but what is the truth? And if there is some truth to this, and you can prove it with data, then I think we should analyze it. And if it is correct, then yes, absolutely, we should change some history if is backed by the sources. But the reality is that the people that do this, they're anti-white. They do it because they hate white people, and so they apply double standards, because they will tell you if there are some black people and they lived among the North, then the Vikings were also black, even though whatever minute percentage it would have been within any given population cluster would not impact in any way, shape, or form, if they even accepted the culture, if they were even born in there anyways, if they were like freaking foreigners. But they don't apply it to African cultures or to Asian cultures, meaning that the split second you show them, well, there is a minority of white people in Africa. It's not like now they're going to say that these obviously African civilizations, whether you can't claim them as African anymore. It's always double standards, because the reality is that what they do is based on hatred.
You know, I hate when people try to make history political.
Absolutely.
Like they have a political agenda and they are distorting the facts, and they are lying about the past to promote their political agenda.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the Norse, the people in Scandinavia, we know that they were somewhat multicultural if we look at their DNA. But that does not mean that you had lots of people from the Middle East and Africa here. What we mean by multicultural in that sense is that you would have, maybe your uncle was from the British Islands. Maybe you married a woman from what is now Poland or Russia. That's what we mean by multicultural.
Yeah.
And we can trace it in our DNA today. And if you go to Iceland, you will find DNA from North America, because the Vikings went there and they probably brought home wives and so on. And that's what we mean by multicultural. Some people will point at names in the sagas, for instance, and they will say that, well, he was called the Black, like Halfdan Svarte, who was that's just a horses screaming, by the way. Halfdan.
Man, this guy's so cool. This guy is awesome. I do want to add one thing before he continues. And of course, the way they use black in Old Norse is also very different to the way we use it today. When you define someone as black, it could be a feature of the way he's dressed. It could be a feature of the freaking hair. Because, of course, a big chunk of Nordic people are blonde, but as you can see, this gentleman here isn't blonde. So not everyone was blonde. And so maybe if you had someone with that characteristic, they could use it. Also, sometimes they use black. In fact, if anything, they define some people from Africa who are actually black. They call them blue, because blue in Old Norse is used to mean exotic. So yeah, there is that. I'm sure he's going to go into that. But I did want to say something. You know, when he said he hates it when people try to make history political, and I agree with him. But there are bad players, bad faith players, that will react to this, such as the other Norwegian Mr. Freda. And what they do is they'll tell you, but of course history is political. There is always politics in history. Out of place. Out of place. It's a matter of dignity. Let's dignify and stillman this person's statement. When he says he hates it when history is being made political, he does not mean that there should be no politics, in particularly period politics, in history. Of course there is. He's saying we shouldn't twist the facts that are based on archaeological evidence, material goods, literary evidence, iconography, in order to push a modern, current political agenda. That's what he means. That's also what I mean, which is why I'm understanding where he's coming from. People will try to twist his idea, and they'll end up doing the same thing that he's calling out. They are liars. Good man.
Svarte, who was sort of a king in eastern Norway, he was called Halfdan the Black, Halfdan Svarte, because of his black hair.
There you go.
Black hair was not very common. So they would call, if you had something about you that was uncommon in the way you looked, that probably became your nickname. Some people...
Interesting. The Romans did it too. I've recently filmed a video on the ancient Roman tria nomina, so the three names that in reality were five if you include patronym and tribe names, but let's say tria nomina for a moment. Praenomen, nomen, cognomen. The cognomen, which is the last bit,